Comprehensive Senior Finance Manager for tonight. So please join me and give a warm welcome to them.
Illuminate with you. I will be speaking a lot of English. And so before I start with all my English, I want to say Ekaleo. That is good evening in my culture, in my language. I'm Yoruba. First and foremost, I want to thank God for the appointing all of us to be here tonight in this space. It could be anywhere, but I think we're all chosen for a reason to be here. I'm thankful for all the journey that's led me to this moment, and I'm really thankful to my own personal village that showed up in spite of this. So thank you. March 10, 1995. I was 11 years old, wearing a summery blue dress, stepping off a plane to come to America with dreams bigger than my imagination and with an expectation of streets lined with gold trees where had unlimited dollars. All you had to do was just pluck them, right? The only setback, visa expiration. Meaning no papers, meaning limited dreams. You know the deal. I watched my mother work in multiple jobs, and I learned that survival required hustle. How many of you can relate having multiple jobs to do multiple things just to make money? Starting at 11 years old, in 8th grade, I too bit that hustle culture. I began to sell hair clips and bracelets. Enough all the way through the end of high school to even have a team and pay for prom. I got my papers. It was the last semester of college. I was 20 years old. Finally, I could qualify for student loans. And you know what I did with my student loan money? I used it to get our family house out of foreclosure. In our culture, what concerns me concerns you. And no, when they sold the house a few years later, they did not reimburse me. I'm still waiting on my check. I was determined not to suffer. Every day, that last semester of college, I washed my sister's oversized white shirt. I wore a black pair of pants that I borrowed from a friend named Chichi. It was missing a button, so I had to use a safety pin to hold it together. And I would go on interviews. I would rinse and repeat while working countless hours selling vacuum cleaners to people who were poor and needy. I would tell you, when you don't have paper, if you can work a commission job, you can sidestep paper, which is what I did. One semester, I flunked spectacularly. I had 3 Fs, 1 D, and a C. I didn't have books, I didn't have any money. I would get chased out of the libraries and bookstores when I was trying to read. My now husband, the late Faleti, lent me more money to stay in school. I vowed to pay him back, and every month I would write a $50 check. I was determined to not have a man holding something over my head. Because A, I'm very stubborn, and B, imagine me begging someone. So I heard of a little company that allows you to work in rural parts of the country selling books. So I started selling books, student handbooks, in rural Kentucky, Arkansas, and even Missouri, some very racist parts of the country. I figured out my way and I sold enough books. I sold $30,000 worth of books in 10 weeks. I made enough. I paid them back, and then I paid the next 3 semesters of school. I replaced those 3 Fs, got enough of a good GPA to qualify for interview at JP Chase. And that was the beginning of the rest of the story. The hustle was working. After all, this is why we're here. To have a better life, to do better than our parents, to lift up our people. Years later, as Ariella just mentioned, I became a senior vice president at one of the top financial institutions in the world. I definitely felt like the dream was fulfilled. But soon, I started to feel the pinch of not having a village. Recently, there's a clip going around of Trevor Noah. He talks about what happens when a country becomes more affluent. The more affluent a country is, the more we have to buy our village, and we suffer from a lack of connection. I remembered what a managing director at JP Morgan said some 15 years earlier. He was leading a major division and was being let go. Deep in grief and bitterness, he said, "I've had 2 divorces because of this place. 2. I recognized the warning signs. I too was starting to parent in the margins. High stress in the mornings, low will in the evenings. My family was feeling the effect of the American dream without community. My attention given to others' priorities." And yet, there I was, doing side gigs, chasing micro businesses, chasing a dream of time and money in order to mother on my own terms, but it resulted in even more absence from my family. They were going out with a mother who hustled, but was it really for them? I soon discovered that while other people could do my job sufficiently, I was the only person that could mother Fisayo, Tiwalala, Ifeshadi, and Muturai. They were the rocket ships that demanded my life's fuel. Yet every day, they, myself, my husband, got remnants because the hustle never left my body. You see, the American dream is dangerous without the guardrails of the cultural upbringing. A friend once told me that God does not give you desire to punish you. I had a desire to be more present at home. I spoke it out loud, I prayed about it, and I knew that this desire to prioritize my family was aligned with God's will for His creation. Right now, I'm sure many of you sitting have desire, dreams bigger than your bank account or your religious imagination. I am here to witness to the truth of God not giving you desire to punish you, but really to embarrass you with blessings, but only if you have the courage to say yes. The seeds of my desire to build a community was planted during a trip to Tanzania in 2021. I had a yearning to take the kids to Africa, even though it wasn't my country of origin. It was eye-opening to see God's design in nature, to see community care in action. I noticed the relationships between the giraffes and birds. Do you know the relationship between giraffes and birds? Anyone? In nature, not in the zoo, when you see a giraffe, you see a bird on its back. And that is because the birds take care of the giraffe's parasites. I noticed the relationship of the elephants with their young. It was only the udders that give away the mother. I noticed the cubs of the lionesses. It wasn't on your own like we have in the American culture. I was struck with the way that animals moved in community, and I wondered why it was so much harder in our American society. I remember being at a hotel in Arusha. Who's from Tanzania here? Anyone? No. Okay, so I remember being in a hotel in Arusha. I asked the woman who worked at the hotel to wash some clothes for my children. In a hotel, the price is high. And so there were 2 women who came to gather the clothes. One of the women asked me if I wanted to wash my children's shoes. And I was like, no, it's expensive. So she began to struggle with me with the children's shoes. And she chided me and saying, how can you allow your children to go out looking like this? I told her, do what you want, but I'm not paying. She proceeded to wash their shoes without cost, understanding that my US dollar was higher than whatever she made, but she knew something that I needed to learn. My children, those strangers with different origins, were her children. I took that lesson and I asked myself, how can we build a lost village? How can we get this back? In September 2022, God called me to support mothers and families in a very direct, very stern, very unmistakable way. So when I told my boss, an atheist, that I needed to quit, she asked why. I said, well, God said so. And she said, what would you be doing exactly? I'm sure my answer was clumsy. I said, I'm going to help families, mothers, something like that. I mean, you know. She asked the question for everyone in the back, including my village people. Sister, how are you going to pay the mortgage? I answered using a saying of my husband's. When God gives vision, He's going to make provision. You see, months earlier, I was offered a job to lead a department. He had the two F's, fame, fortune, and a baked-in unspoken expectation of absence from my family. Whoever pays you that much owns your attention. Everyone said to me, shine your eye, take the job. And understanding that they meant well for me, they said, you can finally afford the village you seek. My troubadour that comes by the help. He'll be all right. It was a significant raise to my already comfortable salary. The only person who said no was my mother. She said, can God not give you that in a weekend? So I said yes to the call. Not knowing how, not knowing when, not knowing if I really understood it. Was it a personal call for me? Was it a call for society? Was it more? I didn't know, but I surrendered. I know one thing, God moves on our faith. Next, we got the boss out of the way, we had to get husband on board. So I asked God to talk to my husband, but God did one better. Instead of talking to him, He used him to move the resources, which all belonged to him anyway, to fulfill my personal desire to be more present and his desire, God's desire for family preservation. In a matter of minutes, God replaced my annual salary using Inca as its source. The desires He's placed in you are not to punish you. However, you will need courage and perseverance to say yes. With God's provision, I began to build Curve House. You've already heard a little about it. My hypothesis is that mothers shape the future, and so mothers need more support. I say we shape the future in one of three ways. Through the work of our hands, like anyone else, we shape the future. Through the souls we nurture, every person, presidents, popes, even politicians, was shaped by mother's presence or absence. Through the trauma we either heal or pass on, we provide the blueprint for the next generation. I set out to solve a problem to support the mothers, and yet I found myself drowning in the very trap I was trying to escape. I was becoming increasingly absent while telling myself it was for the family. Hustle is seductive. Many of you know of the former CEO of PepsiCo, Indra Nooyi, and her famous story of her mother telling her to go out and get milk after she got promoted to CEO. Mother told her, in this house, you are not CEO. You're a wife, you're a mother, you're a daughter-in-law. Leave that CEO crown in the garage. This was her mother's wisdom to her. There's another harrowing story that she tells in her memoir. It was a letter her daughter wrote to her saying, Mommy, I would love you again if you please, please, please just come home. It's because of the price of her absence that today she champions flexible work for mothers and family builders. Her story became a ringing cry in my own home when my toddler started saying, I don't like going to house. You're always gone. I wanted to explain to her my why and tell her all the beautiful things we were doing, but all she saw and experienced was my presence and my absence. In time, I've come to understand more of what God is asking me to do and what I'm here to tell you. We must be vigilant. We must be vigilant in protecting and preserving the most important institution we have in humanity. That is the family. There's fire on the mountain, and it's coming for our families. I see the numbers. 1 in 5 women experience postpartum depression, feel that society does not understand or support them. Loneliness is now equivalent to smoking 15 cigarettes a day. 1 in 3 children struggle with anxiety, and 1 in 8 of our young people have had a major depressive disorder. I see it in the faces of the women in my care. I see it in their stories. The women who tell me that it is only a Karate house that they have a community. The ones who are suffering pain and just need someone to sit there with them. The one who need help to clean their house. The one who need help to make a meal, to hold the baby, to be present when they've given birth by themselves, to be present when they've just delivered. The ones who need help for someone to show them how to breastfeed a baby, to shove the breast inside the mouth. The ones who want to talk about what is happening in their marriages. The ones who are looking for answers that Google cannot give them. I see it in young women who are no longer interested in having a family. They don't want to have children. It's too hard. It's lonely. There's no village. Sometimes when we hear the statistics, we think this is an American problem. Are we not living in America? Are children not impacted? Does the American culture, does the American soil have our Ubuntu culture? Ubuntu means I am because you are. I think what's too costly to say out loud is this. What a lot of these statistics tell us is that this is not just a mental health crisis. This is a presence crisis. We are living among a generation that will witness the dying of human wisdom. A generation forgetting how to console a crying baby without the use of violence, how to heal disputes without courts, how to love through the inconvenience of showing up. A generation outsourcing increasingly to artificial intelligence and institutions, places where wisdom does not exist. But you, wisdom, through lived experiences, ones your mother and grandmothers taught you, the one that intermediate mother told her about putting that crown in the garage, the one that my mother told me, don't take that job. That wisdom, I beg you, today, you must cherish, you must guard it, you must pass it on. Our theme today is illuminate. Our future and the stories that you have and the wisdom that you have, especially as African women, will illuminate our path. 30 years ago, I wore an English dress, the blue summer dress I talked about. Committed to a journey of hustling to achieve the American dream. Today, I wear my African garb, standing before you with a new dream, a dream to preserve our families through the wisdom of your presence, the one only you can do, especially as mothers. I'm asking you to take an inventory of the systems that keep you distracted. I'm asking you to be courageous and trust in a vision that God has given you. I'm asking you to do what it takes to ensure your attention isn't given to others in pursuit of the American dream, that your family gives you the best attention, and your prized wisdom. A time is coming when wisdom will save us all. there is a difference between information, knowledge, and wisdom. Information and knowledge is plenty. We have Google, we have AI. Knowledge is in your DNA. Wisdom is in your DNA. There's an African saying that says, when you heal a woman, you heal a nation. I invite you to look around, look right, look left, look in front, look behind you, and see the healers are here. It's only when we do as the woman in Arusha did, knowing that your children are my children, that we can choose differently to heal ourselves, to be present, and to heal our nations. I leave you with a final thought, and I'll take questions. What is the ripple effect of your presence for your family? Think 20 years from now. Thank you.
How would you advise a woman that struggles between being a breadwinner and a woman that also wants to give herself to her family? Your story is amazing, and thank goodness you have a partner that supports you, and God was able to use your partner in your journey to fulfill your dream, your mission, right? There are lots of women that especially in my work, that I see that do not have that partner. You mentioned as well in your work at Korean House, you see women that do not have that village, even in their home, their partner that is under the responsibility of the home. What would be your advice for someone like that is struggling and just does not seem to have a way out?
Is that we live in a society now where roles are reversed in many places. My home is no different. For many years, I was the breadwinner, and I understand what it means to feel the weight of family, not just the ones here, but some of us are still sending checks back home. You understand the weight. So the first thing I would go back to what I said is that if you have a desire and it's aligned with God's will, you first need to pray about it and understand that God will not give you desire in order to punish you. Second thing I would say is it's extremely difficult. I was just telling Jamaris before we got on the table, before I got here, that if you carry the weight, they will let you carry the weight. And I also mentioned in my talk that hustle is seductive. It is much easier. I will be the first. I have 4 children. I'll be the first one to say it's much easier, much more accomplished to be at work than to be at home. We'll say, madam, At work, I feel like successful often, but at home, not all the time. What I'm not telling you is go quit your jobs. That's not what I'm saying. But what I am saying is that there is a time for everything. As scripture tells us, a time to play, a time for this, a time for that. I can't quote, I'm Catholic, that's why. Everything is competing for your attention, right? You have to understand that the system is designed to distract you and to outsource the things that you're supposed to do to other institutions, but we've seen the results. They are not working. Our families are broken. Pope John Paul II has a saying that says, the family is the microcosm of society, and as goes the family, goes society, right? So I think the uncomfortable truth I would tell you is that anything worth having requires sacrifice. And I don't know what that sacrifice looks for you individually. But I do know that there are things you're gonna have to say no to in order for your yes to be more powerful. That could be an extra shift. That could be something at home, you know, like it's a dance. But we don't have what we had in Africa, where other people can watch your children and they're your aunties, everybody's your auntie.